Alright, what's going on, guys? We have a special treat for today, no pun intended, man. These type of videos really bring me back to the good old days. So today, we are going to be getting a lesson in thin privilege. Now, for those of you that might be unfamiliar with the term, it's pretty much exactly like it sounds. Apparently, if you are thin, you have some sort of special privilege. Now, this is news to me. Like, I was not aware of all these benefits, but lucky for us, we have a very special guest to tell us all about it. So everybody sit back, relax, maybe grab something to eat. Actually, well, maybe not, don't want to lose your thin privilege, but let's go ahead and let Shamu have the floor.
Thin privilege. Now, it's not a mythical creature or something made up.
Yeah, I think the only mythical creature here is you.
Well, let's be nice. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean,
If you're thin, you have a certain privilege. So everyday tasks that a thinner person can take for granted. So, public transport. What a nightmare for plus size people. Just think, can you sit in a seat and not be met with sighs, huffing, puffing, and someone squirming in the seat next to you, making you feel uncomfortable and knowing that they don't want you there?
Okay, so we're starting things off with public transportation. I see what you're saying. I definitely understand the point that you're making. However, you seem to be ignoring the fact that you are 300 pounds, and that's an issue, right? Because that's not the normal weight for a human. Now, when the engineers designed the seats for public transportation, they sized the seats according to the weight of your average human being. However, you are much larger than the average human being, so I'm just gonna take a wild guess here, and I'm gonna say that the reason people around you might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable is because some of your extra mass might be invading their seat a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, there is a reason that airlines literally make people purchase a second seat if they exceed certain size restrictions, right? It's not really to be rude or privileged or anything like that. It's just the fact that you are quite literally inconveniencing other people who paid money to be there due to the sheer amount of mass that you carry on your body. So I don't feel like this is a very good example of thin privilege.
Grabbing something to eat. Just think, can you pop into a bakery, pick up a donut, and
Dear Lord, look at the size of that thing. And damn, actually, you know what? The donut is pretty big too, you know what I'm saying? Actually, no, for real. That donut looks huge, does it not? Like, that's a 900 calorie donut that she's eating. Like, you are not doing yourself any favors.
sit there and then enjoy it and not feel that you've been met with stares or comment, I cannot do that.
Okay, so you definitely made a much better point with this example. I don't even remember the last time I went to the bakery and ordered a donut, but let's just say that I did. I can definitely see more people staring at you than would be staring at me. That definitely does make sense. But then again, the issue here is you really just put yourself in this situation. Obviously, when people see a 300-pound behemoth go into the donut shop and order a 1,000 calorie giant donut and then stuff it into her mouth, obviously people are gonna stare because they're gonna be thinking like, well, what the fuck is this person doing? Like, clearly she just don't give a fuck. It's definitely not a smart decision, but I will agree, you are right. I would imagine more people would look at you than look at me. But I'm not sure that means that I have a privilege just because you made poor choices in your life and I didn't. I don't feel like that makes me privileged over you.
Going to the doctors. Are you able to go and be seen and diagnose what is actually wrong with you? Or the appointment turned into a weigh-in session?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I haven't been to the doctor in a while, but from what I can remember, I'm pretty sure every time I did go to the doctor, one of the first things they do is take your weight. Like, it's part of the general routine that they do when they're seeing you. It's definitely not something that they only do for fat people. Everybody gets their weight checked at the doctor's office. I think the only reason that you got offended by that and I don't care is because because you know there's something wrong with your weight. So of course you took it personally when the doctor wanted to see what your weight was. So once again, this is not really thin privilege because, believe it or not, the doctor checks everybody's weight, not just 364-pound wildebeest. I hate to break the news to you.
To be honest, I actually avoid going to the doctors now just because I don't feel like I'm taken seriously.
Wait a minute, so you got so triggered that the doctor just wanted to know your weight, which is part of their job, that you stopped going to the doctor completely. Now that is a 200 IQ play right there. I mean, hey, you can't ever get any serious life-threatening diseases if you don't go to the doctor so they can tell you about them. I mean, we should all just follow in her footsteps. This is just genius.
Just because someone's smaller, just in the same way as someone's bigger, there's no way that you could diagnose someone's health just by looking at them.
Yes and no, I do agree. Like, I can't just look at you right now in this video and say for sure, like, yeah, you have diabetes. You're right, I can't do that. However, you know who would know if there's something wrong with you though? That would be the doctor. But oh wait, you don't go to the doctor's office anymore because they made you step on the fucking weighing scale. And when you look down, you couldn't even see the weight yourself, so you asked the nurse to read it out to you, and when the first number that came out of her mouth was a 4, you got offended and ran out of the doctor's office to the nearest donut shop. But hey, what do I know?
So I can put a picture up on Instagram and I'm listed with everything that's wrong with me. Of course, none of it is true because nothing's wrong with me.
Wait a minute now. First of all, genius, how do you know that there's nothing wrong with you? You said it yourself. You stopped going to the doctor. So how the fuck do you know that there's nothing wrong with you? These people could be right. And second of all, you are not the only person in the world who gets made fun of on their Instagram comments. Literally every single person in the entire world that posts pictures on Instagram gets negative comments. Nobody else has a privilege. Yours might be about being fat, but someone else's might be about being ugly or some other reason. It could be a variety of reasons. Yours just happens to be about being fat. But don't think for a second that you are the only person in the world getting made fun of on Instagram. So there's definitely no thin privilege on that one.
Before you roll your eyes at the idea of thin privilege, just try putting yourself in someone else's shoes and just looking at it from their point of view, how it could affect them or how it could make them feel. And don't fall into what society and the media are trying to tell us that are right or wrong. There are bigger people in the world, there are smaller people in the world, celebrating everybody's differences. Everybody being kind to one another regardless of your size.
Alright, so that's the end of the video. I have a final couple points that I'd like to make here. Number one, if you guys didn't notice from her accent, she's from the UK. Now, if you didn't know, the UK has universal healthcare. That means that it's free. It's paid for by the taxpayers. So she spent this whole video talking about how everyone else is privileged, right? But the thing is, she's actually the privileged one, because I would say that it's a pretty big fucking privilege to be able to stuff your face with donuts every single day of your life until you become the size of a hot air balloon, and then when you finally have a heart attack because you refuse to go to the doctor, everyone else has to pay for your medical bills. That sounds a lot like privilege to me. I don't know about you guys, but I would say you're pretty privileged. And that leads me to my second point. I can certainly agree that certain types of privilege do exist, but not in the way that she's claiming, right? Personally, I just don't feel like you can claim privilege on things that are in your control. You weren't born 350 pounds. Nobody made you become this size. You made some very bad choices in your life, and now you have to face the consequences for them. You can't go around saying everybody else has thin privilege when you have every opportunity in the world to be just like them, but you don't want to. You know, you chose not to. Instead, you want to sit here and eat your fucking donuts and cry about it like you're some sort of victim, when in reality, you did it to yourself, right? Let me give you an example of something that I would actually consider privilege, right? Let's say like a midget. well, I don't know if that's the appropriate term these days. I'm not trying to offend anybody, no offense, but let's say if like a vertically challenged person wanted to complain that other people had height privilege on them. I think that's fair, right? Because nobody can control how tall they're gonna be, right? It's just something you have to deal with. So if you're a grown-ass man and you're 3 feet tall, that's just the way you were born. So, if you want to say other people have height privilege over you, I understand. That makes total sense. Go ahead. Or like a blind person, if they wanted to say other people have vision privilege, I understand. Or, even a deaf person wants to say other people have hearing privilege or whatever. All of those make sense because it's not something that you can control. But being 400 pounds is a choice. You were not born that way, so it's not really something that I think people should be able to claim privilege on. So that's my take on it. You guys let me know whether you agree or disagree in the comments section down below. That's pretty much it for the video. Be sure to leave a like rating if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are not already. Follow me on Twitter. Links in the description down below. Other than that, have a good day and peace out.
Find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right.